So from the time I was a little kid, music has kind of been, I guess, an escape for me, something that I could listen to and kind of get lost in. But as a kid, I started out as a drummer, actually. I played a few gigs, and then I got out of it. I started playing sports, and there just wasn't enough time. As my life progressed, I got to the point in my late 20s where I was at a point where I needed music. I needed to get lost in something again, and I've always been a creative person, and it was a way for me to creatively let out some inner turmoil and some tension. Growing up, we didn't go to church. It just wasn't something that was really talked about. As a teenager in high school, my life revolved around sports. I went through that phase of my life, went away to college. I met a girl who then we got engaged and became my wife. We have a couple kids, beautiful, beautiful daughters. And life happened. You think you've got everything under control, and then boom, stuff happens quickly. And before you know it, we're 7 years into a marriage, and both kind of lost. I was looking for the answers. I was desperate to figure out a plan, to figure out a route of escape. And I was weak, and I was vulnerable to the wrong things. For me, that demise was partying, doing things for attention, whether it was from women, whatever it was. I would do whatever I could at that moment in time to dull the void. Depression starts to sit in. Uncertainty just exacerbates that. And when you've got a depressed person who is feeling helpless, that's a recipe for potential disaster if you don't straighten it out. I met somebody, I got engaged, and I was at that point again in my life where I thought, man, I have everything under control. This is just incredible. And then boom, it's gone. There I was, 5, 6 years later, whatever it was, searching for the same answers. And by the way, getting the same result. A good friend of mine invited me to church, and I went, and I enjoyed it, and I kept going back. After each service, I felt like I'd gained something. There were still a lot of questions, things I was missing, but I felt like I was really learning things and being emotionally fulfilled. I was sitting in a service, and it was the first service for Don't Call Me a Christian. I couldn't tell you what Pastor Beeson said, but something he said struck me so hardcore. I put my head in my hands, and I wept. I literally sat there in that chair and cried. And he was either an usher or somebody who was just sitting behind me that saw I was struggling, and just put his hand on my shoulder, as I remember it, and took me up to pray. What I explained to Pastor Beeson was, I feel this sadness in my heart. I'd gone through this breakup, and I felt like somebody hated me. I couldn't figure out why, And he said to me, he goes, I've spoken today about a very touchy subject, and there are going to be some people here that were in this service today that won't come back because they don't agree with what I said. He said, sometimes, I'll sit at my desk and I'll think about this stuff, and it makes me sad. But it's at those moments where I have to think to myself, what is my pure joy? He said, for me, it's Jesus. I mean, that's my joy. And that just resonated so strongly with me at that moment in time. Honestly, it's been since that day that I've given myself to God, and I've given in to the fact that I don't have control over everything. This is a journey for me. I know that for the next step I take, there's going to be a step after that I have to take. God gave me this a gift, if you will, to be musical, to play music. And I think that for me to be able to share that with folks at church and to maybe make an impact in them, how incredibly cool is that? I mean, doing something I love is helping somebody. That's an incredible feeling. It's not a flip of the switch. It's not I'm magically a different person. I'm far from perfect. But what I'm learning, the more steps I take, I'm in good company. There's a lot of people that aren't perfect, that are taking the same steps. And it took one of those people who are taking the exact steps that I'm taking right now. It took somebody in that same position to say to me, hey, go try out church, And I don't regret it one bit, not a single bit.